So I have a pretty major sense of regret the last 6 months. There's been a conversation that I think was at least 3 years ago that I had, and I've been thinking about it the last 6 months, and the advice I gave would be so different today as to what it was back then. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have it saved. It was a Zoom call conversation. It was like a coaching call I did with my Patreon. And I don't even know if this was a Patreon call. It was just like a pastor I really appreciate. So I'm gonna do my best right now to try to find it. And first of all, see if the question was what I remembered, and then see how terrible that advice was. So I definitely just found it. I'm still kind of scared to actually listen to what I said, but here's the question that was given to me. It turns out it was January 6th, 2020. Was that the big day? Is that the Jan 6th day? Oh, that was in 2021. Oh yeah, January 6th, 2020 was when everything was still kind of normal for like 2 months. Here's the question.
I'm an observer of you, and so I was just racking my brain trying to figure out how in the world Trey Van Camp gets done all the stuff that he gets done in 1 week. And
yeah.
So...
You don't want to see the answer to what I had. It was bad. Is anyone else just like so completely embarrassed by who they were even 3 years ago? Now the problem with my answer is I was dealing with a completely different paradigm than what probably Pastor Parks was talking about. First of all, I should have just said,
man, I'm in my 20s. I just biology. I just have more energy because I'm young.
I didn't say that. I think I went on to boast about how I do concrete in the morning. Honestly, how I start my mornings and like my first 5 hours of my day is so critical to the rest. And then sermon prep when you get home and counseling, and then in that little window, make a vlog, and the paradigm was off. I was answering the question with the paradigm that ministry is hard. And it sometimes definitely is. And it was really hard in 2020, like things that we had to pick up on and extra things we had to do that we never had to do before. But I think the question that I should have addressed, that I think Pastor Parks was talking about, was more that ministry is heavy. So how do you keep producing? How do you keep creating? How do you keep doing all these extra things when ministry is just so heavy? Sometimes the answer is you don't do the extra things. Man, I feel like we've gone through a lot of heavy stuff. Every pastor has. Some unique to me are, in 2020, we had another miscarriage. In 21, we had a wrench thrown in our plans about possibly moving. In 22, that almost happened and then it didn't. And we had to deal with that crushing blow of just, I never want to go back into that. My wife actually just got out of surgery, so I'm actually home with her right now, helping her recover. Life is heavy, ministry's heavy, and sometimes you just don't have to press record, and you definitely don't have to upload. But I also think Eugene Peterson, in his book Contemplative Pastor, talks about how, there's a lot of fluff that happens in pastoral ministry. In fact, in his journal, in Burning in My Bones, my favorite biography, memoir on somebody, Eugene has this thing where he says, I can't do ministry because I'm just so busy running this church. So he actually says, man, the 3 essential things that every pastor has to do, and everything else is a cherry on top, is to pray, is to preach the word, and it's to listen. We put so many other expectations on ourselves, and then it saps the joy from those 3 main things that we've been called to do. But I do think there's one other element, a lot of this is in God's control, and we just hunker down and let God do the work. I heard a pastor recently say you can either burn out or burn clean. But there is another element to this that I'm trying to apply myself to get myself back on YouTube more often, because it's a joy for me. And I actually found it in a Casey Neistat vlog.
So I'll procrastinate, which leads to boredom. To fix that, I need to do more, which leads me to kind of burn out, and I need to remedy that by doing less. So I start to procrastinate, then I get bored.
The honest truth is I've been looking around this house trying to find a clear tube with a big marble. I don't have it, and I'm not gonna spend money on this illustration. So him going back and forth in my own life and content creation outside of just sometimes ministry's heavy. I don't have to do all this extra stuff, but sometimes I'm not doing it because I go between value and validation. So when I'm creating content just for value, I wind up creating a lot more. When I'm creating, all of a sudden I want to create content because I want validation. Now this looks many ways, like actual clicks, more views, more Patreon supporters, those kinds of things. When I begin to go on that side of the spectrum to try to get smarter with this stuff, meanwhile, my brain is so exhausted from being smarter in the church world and all that stuff. Now I'm trying to apply it to this hobby of content creation. When I veer over towards validation, I now don't create as much. This would work better with the poster, but over here, create content, give value, I make a lot of content. Worry about validation, it starts to tip over, and now I don't make any more content. Value, validation. Value, validation. Come on, Pastor. Validation's in Jesus. It really is. I don't know why it sounds so cheesy. So this is me making another video, putting out content because I just want to bring you value.